Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Welcome back to a Mel Gibson podcast, season 2. We are back to hug the cactus. And who else can I hug a cactus with, particularly when we're talking Westerns, but Ryan Rebalkin. Welcome, Ryan. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Siko. Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about today's episode. We haven't talked beforehand about each other's feelings on this film, but of course we're going to get to all that. So I just want to say that it's fun to be on a Mel Gibson podcast because I love Mel. I truly do. He's charismatic. This guy's a movie star, and rewatching this film again, we'll talk about it, but just what a wonderful reminder of who he is and his charisma on screen. Yeah, I love Mel, and it's just a hug away on this one.
Cool. Because there's another thing you're going to be happy about. This is a Western, and you're a Western guy, aren't you?
I absolutely adore Westerns. If you had to put a gun to my head and say you could only watch one genre for the rest of your life, so it's just genre. I have other film favorites that aren't part of this genre, of course, but Westerns, I feel very comfortable, and I love the aesthetics of Western films. Just love it.
Yes, rumor has it you're starting a Western podcast. Is that true?
Yes. So yes, I will be doing a Western podcast titled to be determined still. I've had a few rolling around in my brain. It'll occur after I'm done the Rambo series because that won't take too long. So when the Rambo series is done and wrapped up, I will roll into a Western series, a Western podcast.
So this is a kind of proto episode for that Western podcast.
Yeah, this is kind of a cheat. I guess this is a freebie. Yeah, this one, I mean. So yeah, because I'll probably cover it again. Who knows? But this definitely falls into the Western category for sure.
Yeah, because you requested this particular movie like a year ago.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I have to do Maverick. I'll do Mad Max with you, but I have to do Maverick. You must do Maverick. And I was like, but okay, I've never seen it.
When you sent me that message yesterday that you're going to watch it now for the first time, I was like, okay.
Yes. First time ever.
Now, I'm nervous because when you said that, as you know, okay, don't share your thoughts yet, but this is why I was nervous. Because with any film, okay, let me go back a little bit. So when I did my co-host on the Rocky podcast is Kyle. He had never seen Bloodsport. So one of our bonus episodes was for us to watch Bloodsport and review it, but he'd never seen it. He kind of came into his review of the film, I won't say negative, but he was much more critical than I even anticipated for that film because he never saw it before. So he was watching it through 2020 eyes and so I'm like, okay, I get it. I guess if you're watching this 30 odd years after the movie was made and it is Bloodsport, I guess if a critical eye, I get your criticism, but I watched it as a teenager. And so when it's imprinted in your memory banks as a teenager, it will never be bad. It doesn't matter how hokey or silly it is.
Oh, it's Bloodsport, you mean? Because you were not a teenager in 1994.
94, I was
early 20s.
What's the math? 19. Well, 19, almost. No, it's 19 because I was born in 75. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So in Bloodsport, I was 12 or whatever. But the point is, he never seen Bloodsport. So I say that because now you're going to watch a 1994 film. It was 28 years ago. Is Siko going to watch this through whatever lens? Is it 2022 lens? So I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. I'm a little bit.
Yeah, I have the 1957 to 1962 lens because I watched the original TV show.
Oh, so you're coming from that perspective, which I never saw.
To me, it's more about, does the movie recapture the magic of the TV show?
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll find out. I never saw the TV show. Of course, I knew about it. I knew James Garner was Maverick in the TV show. So when they casted him as being in, I knew even back then in 94 that Mel was playing the Maverick character, that James Garner was reprising a role in the film. Non-Maverick character, and it's I mean, whatever you want to talk about, I'm ready to talk about any part of this film.
The interesting part for me about Maverick is I knew about Maverick not from the TV show originally. I saw that later. I knew it from a Richard Pryor movie, which was called Moving, and basically, have you seen that one?
Say it again. You just
there's a Richard Pryor. There's a Richard Pryor movie called Moving. Basically, the Richard Pryor character has to move his family because he has a job opportunity. And the daughter rebels and says, no, I just got a new boyfriend. My life is here. My friends are here. I'm staying behind. So she's staying behind and she's going to live with friends of her parents. And those are just stay-at-home people, elderly. And she's on the couch because her boyfriend stood her up. The person she stayed behind for pretty much forgets she exists. And so she's on the couch with those people, and they're like, "What are we watching?" And it's like, "Yes, this is Maverick, and it's about a gambler on the Mississippi, and blah blah blah." So I was like, they were talking about the TV show, and
so you actually started watching the TV show because of the movie?
Because of the movie, because it was a joke, and part of the joke, the in joke, and the same actor is also in this movie, is that actor was in the original TV show.
Oh, I see.
Okay. And it's also in this one. So when we get to that point, I'll point that out. So because I loved the Richard Pryor movie, because King Kong Bundy was in it, and it's really fun. I love any Richard Pryor movie anyway, because I'm a big
he's
Richard
funny.
Pryor buff. Yeah,
you're probably the only person who ever watched the Maverick TV show because of a plug from the movie Moving with Richard Pryor.
Isn't that odd? Yeah, but that's because I'm European, and those TV shows weren't readily available by the time in the 70s. By the time, because the only TV shows that were on TV that were westerns were like Gunsmoke and How the West Was Won, and what else did I see on TV? House on the Prairie, stuff like that, right?
Yeah, it's funny that you're bringing up all those shows. I'm a big Western fan, and films. I haven't seen any of those. The ones you just mentioned, those classic, like I'm aware of them, seen snippets, but it's
You've never seen Gunsmoke?
Genre. No,
Gunsmoke is huge. I love that.
Well, I know, and it's not a question of like I don't want to. Let's just say I'll add that to my ever-growing queue of TV shows that I've got to watch. But
the ever-growing queue, yes.
Yeah,
you keep reminding me all those shows you never watch.
Well, it's not that I keep reminding you; it's that you keep offering me suggestions. I just like you act like I don't have 4 kids, a full-time job, and hobbies on the side. That I could just
that's the difference. I don't.
Yeah. Anyways, well, let's. Do you want to do stats of the film first? How do you want to do this?
Oh, you tell me.
I don't know.
This is your favorite movie. You're going to have to carry this episode because I've only seen
favorite
this
movie.
Once.
You're hilarious. Okay, so this is my favorite film. I have fond memories of this film, and I'll tell you why. There's a lot of reasons why. One, Western, got it, check. Mm-hmm. 2, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but I'm a huge Jodie Foster fan. And in 1994, she was 32 at this time, by the way. She was 32.
Peak Jodie Foster.
Yeah, she was so beautiful, so lovely. And she's still a lovely woman. I find her very attractive. And I know that's not the conventional attractive. Like everyone, like back then, it's like Cindy Crawford and, but I'm like, no, like for me, that kind of beauty, though I recognize the beauty, I don't know what it is. I'm attracted to Jodie Foster. And I know, yes, of course, I know her proclivities in real life. But back in 94, she wasn't quite
proclivities? What kind of proclivities are we talking here?
No, I'm just saying that at the time when I was a teenager, I had a crush on her. Like I had a screen crush on Jodie Foster. And I didn't know
because she is insanely attractive.
She is. And
she's Hollywood beautiful.
And she's talented and she's smart. She's all those things. Like she's
a director.
Yeah, she's a wonderful director. And what I also love about her is she is a male supporter.
A big one.
And I love that about her.
Which makes you wonder.
Say again?
It makes you wonder.
Well, we know. Well, yeah. I mean, she is.
We all know Mel is, a big Jew hater.
Oh, geez, yeah. Here we go.
So how does that work with Jodie Foster, who he has?
Well, she must hate Jews too. That's the only conclusion.
She is one. So how does that work?
Yeah, because that's not who Mel is.
No, it isn't. It's nonsense.
I know. Yeah. I know. And I will say
that's why I brought it up.
I know you did. I know you're being facetious, and I agree with you. And I think it's silly that anyone should be labeled for. Look, again, if all my conversations that I've ever said in my life were recorded and replayed as little, I would be the worst person. Like we've all said things that would bury
one
us.
Drunk rant, and it's taped, and you're labeled for life, I guess.
Yeah. Number 1, Western. Number 2. Huge Jodie Foster fan. I fell in love with her watching 1991 Silence of the Lambs. That was the first film I saw of her. I was 16 at the time, 90 or 91. So I was 15, 16 when I saw that film. Of course, I knew who she was because she's Jodie Foster, but I didn't watch any of her films. I was an action star kid. I didn't watch female-led. Sure. So she was probably the first female actress, and I'm a teenage boy. So she was the first female actress that I was like, oh, I like her. And then I went to Blockbuster or whatever the video store was at the time, before Blockbuster actually, and I rented everything I could of Jodie's. So I actually bought this like movie almanac that basically a paper version of IMDb back in the day. Like,
okay, so then you saw Taxi Driver and freaked out.
Yes, loved it. Oh yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was like, holy crap, she's amazing. Anyways, we all know Jodie's amazing. So
my favorite act is actually Hotel New Hampshire. Have you seen that?
That's a new film, and I haven't.
No, it's old. It's with Rob Lowe. It's a John Irving movie.
Oh, I
Yes,
missed that
and
one.
she's perfectly cast for that.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Rob Lowe, according to John Irving, isn't, because John Irving argued that, look, the main character I describe in the movie is an average-looking guy. That's why he's sleeping with his sister, played by Jodie Foster.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, but Rob Lowe, he argues, could get any girl because he's prettier than most girls. So the movie doesn't make any sense to me, which is interesting.
Why have I never heard of that film? That is weird. What
You
a
should watch that.
Mandela
It's really
moment.
good. Yeah.
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 Um,
Most movies based on John Irving's books are really good because the stories are awesome.
right. Okay. And then of course, lastly, Mel. I was a huge Mel Gibson fan. Mad Max, of course, the Lethal Weapon movies. And so the fact that he was doing a Western with Jodie, I was like, are you kidding me? I was probably there opening night. I would suspect, knowing 19-year-old Ryan at the time, movies. I was big into movies, going to the theater at the time. I was probably there opening night. And yeah, so I love this film, and watching it again the last 24 hours. It's been a while since I've seen it, just because I don't rewatch films over and over again every day. But boy, I was watching this, like, what a good looking, fun film. This is just they just don't make movies like this anymore. And
it's in one word, delightful.
Oh yeah,
it's just delightful.
Seiko likes it. Yeah, Seiko liked it. Great.
It's not impossible not to like. It's frothy. It's fun. It's superficial. It doesn't really recapture the original feeling of the original show, but that's mostly because that show was geared towards a 1950s, 1960s audience, with the ideas on what Westerns should be from that era. So it that old kind of old-fashioned feel that you have in Westerns, it doesn't capture. But what it does capture is
the fun.
The fun. Yes, this is just a fun movie. A really fun blockbuster movie. And I was wondering, why didn't I see this in 1994? What was going on with me in 1994? Yeah, no, I wasn't when I looked up the dates. I wasn't home in that time. I was in Yugoslavia. I was serving in the army.
Okay.
When I came back, the last thing on my mind was watching a fun, frothy Western about gambling. That was probably the last thing I wanted to see. Okay. So I think that's probably it. And I think that's one of the reasons why I probably never rented it. And the next Mel movie I watched after that was Braveheart. And I saw that in the movies. So it wasn't because I wasn't a Mel fan. I enjoyed Mel's movies. And this is really the crown on a whole bunch of romantic comedies he did that were all really successful.
Yeah,
we're all going to be covering this season, because that's actually going to be the main theme of this season. The fun side of Mel, the lighter, zany, fun side of Mel. Let's have some fun here instead of, the really serious stuff he gets into. So no Passion of Christ this season. Thank you very much. But we are going to look at the really fun ones. So,
let's talk about Mel's charisma. I mean, the way his smile, his grin, his eyes, so this is a Mel Gibson podcast, so I think number one, he's an incredible actor. Number two, there's nothing he can't do. Meaning,
the versatility.
Versatility. Yeah. He's got he does stunt work, he does comedy, he does like physical comedy, like with his body, almost like the Fred Astaire movements that he does. What I love about Maverick in this, the character of Maverick, Mel Gibson's Maverick in this film, I love he's wearing this very Daisy-like suit. He's kind of like prim and proper. Like he's almost like, dude, what are you wearing? Like he's got that rough cowboy type look to him.
Yes, well, that was the character in the show.
Yes. Okay, I figured as such. So he's dainty. He's very prim and proper. He wants his shirt pressed and cleaned, but then I love his comedy, his drama. When he gets angry, I love the Mel anger. When he yells, I love the Mel yell. Yeah, there you go, the Mel yell. He
can give Nicolas Cage a run for his money when it comes to angry insanity.
Yeah, I think here's the thing. I think Mel is a complicated person, as we all are as humans. It's not really a hot take. I think what we see in the movies, I think Mel just taps into. I think he's an easygoing guy. I think he is funny in real life, and I think he is and I think he can yell. I think he does get angry, and I think all those things are shown as an actor. He's able to tap into it very easily when he does that. I'm crazy, like in the Lethal Weapon. Like you want to put, he does those same types of mannerisms. And but what I love about this in Maverick, he taps into it, but he's very easygoing. funny, clever, and this film is just, I never know. I've seen this film multiple times, and even when I rewatch it, and I'm thinking to myself, I forget what the character really knows. It's so well done where, like, is anyone ever telling the truth ever?
No, because this is basically, this movie is about poker. So the subtext of every scene is it true what you're seeing? Are the mannerisms, is everything affected? Is it all fake? Mel in this movie is a gambler, is a card player, and every scene he's trying to win. Every scene he's trying to play his hand.
Do you know how to play?
Yeah, sure.
I don't. I know the game through movies and TV shows, like enough to follow the storyline, like the Royal Flush versus the Straights versus the. But
it's not hard.
No, I don't think it's hard. I just don't think I'd be good at it.
Why not?
Because I'm not really competitive. Like, I don't, by nature, I don't like, and I would never bet money, so I never do it for money because I'm cheap. I don't like to gamble. So I'm not a gambler by nature. I like having what I have, and I don't want to risk losing it. So I don't need to arbitrarily put money on anything.
Yeah, but all the great players don't care about money.
Yeah,
they care about the game.
Yeah, I don't care about the game.
Well,
I played something. I've played bridge. I've played card games that I enjoy. Crazy Eights. Those are games I enjoy.
Sure,
but I just have fun playing, not about winning. I think poker is a little bit more, but it really is about the win. I think I could be wrong.
Well, here's the thing. I love Red Dead Redemption 2, which is a video game. I
love
it.
I played
Brett,
it. Yes.
The Brett character is in it.
I missed that.
Yeah, he's in it.
Oh, okay.
They put him in it. It's
okay.
Great.
I'm halfway through the game, so maybe I haven't come across it.
And in the game, one of you have like these sub games where you play poker. Win in the poker games, you get specific rewards. You get like the gambler's holster and the gambler this and the gambler that. And you get like a gambler's saddle. So you can dress up your horse with it, etc.
Oh, I see.
And they bring you certain advantages in the game. So it's fun to play all the poker games, and the high stakes ones when you get to later on in the game, they remind you a lot of this movie.
We should probably talk about the author of this movie and the writer, because that speaks to how clever and well done the mixture of comedy, when you're tricked, when you're hoodwinked. I don't know what you call that. So people keep getting hoodwinked after hoodwinked after hoodwinked. But yeah, I just love how almost every scene is like, I fooled you. Like the gray and green sequence where it's just such clever writing. Like when the Russian Tsar guy is hunting, they pretend to kill Mel Gibson playing a Native American, which I just love his costume, his makeup. He just looked fantastic. And I get up and he gets shot by quote unquote shot by the Russian Tsar. And Graham Greene keeps, upping the price from the Russian Tsar. Let's make it 2,000. But he tells Maverick, I only got 250. I just love this double play of everyone just ripping off everyone. And Mel Gibson goes, lately all my friends.
It's all symbolic.
I love it. It's just everyone's lying to everybody.
It's really well thought out. It's really, the movie is like a big poker game in itself.
Right.
And you realize that about halfway through, it's like, oh, they're all gamblers. They're all playing poker in some way. Life is a poker game.
Right. Which maybe that's why I suck at it. I love watching it. This film stresses me out because it's not who I am. I am not a hoodwinker. I'm not good at it. I'm a terrible bluffer. My wife always says, Ryan, you're a horrible liar. And I don't mind that. That's good. Like, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I would be a terrible salesman. I wouldn't be able to, I couldn't, I can't just, like, we all tell fibs in our life, but I couldn't lie to make money, if that makes sense. I couldn't,
of course,
push
not
the product. Like,
you're a well brought up Canadian.
Oh, maybe
people
that's
don't
why.
do that.
Oh, sure we do. Don't
part of your culture.
Did you hear about that lady who just got 11 years of prison here in the U.S., the 32-year-old entrepreneur?
No idea.
I didn't know what company, but it was like a multi-billion-dollar company. And basically what the company is that apparently you could like diagnose like diseases or future diseases with a few drops of blood. And she got found out.
And it's all nonsense, huh?
Right. But she made a but that's what I mean. I don't know how people sleep at night. The idea that you're just selling snake oil. It's snake oil. It's modern day snake oil. And I just don't I couldn't do it. I just can't do it. Anyways.
But isn't the entire pharmaceutical industry snake oil?
Yeah, well, that's a whole rabbit hole. I know.
Yeah.
Here, folks, you want.
This is the Mel Gibson podcast. We talk about that stuff here.
If you want, yeah. So my philosophy about that, off topic, real quick. You want to stay off medication, just healthy diet, exercise, and meditation.
You know. I do. Pharmaceuticals for me.
Yeah, good. Really quickly, not really quickly. I do want to talk about the author or the screenwriter.
Sure.
I forgot he wrote this. If you were to ask me 3 days ago, Ryan, who wrote the screenplay, I'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah, but he wrote some good stuff though, right?
So let's talk about William Goldman. So if I were to tell the listeners, like, who's that? Well, let me say, have you ever heard of Princess Bride? So when you think of Princess Bride, for example, now you get to see he's so good at that wordplay and clever. Like, that's what this movie's full of. It's these quick little there's no wasted dialogue. Is there any wasted dialogue or scenes in this movie? Yeah, like, everything has a reason. It's a setup. It's a build.
It's a great literary figure. I mean, he wrote some amazing novels, and
yes,
he's also extremely talented in playwriting. And guess what? That makes him a great screenplay writer. And he actually came back to screenwriting for this movie.
Oh,
and he was basically a script doctor. They send you a shitty script, and you turn it into something decent that people can actually film. That's what script doctors do. Yeah, I don't think these days, I don't think they're used much anymore. I don't know how they write scripts, but we're getting what we're getting basically because people in Hollywood have stopped caring about the story, have started investing into the idea that as long as they put a message into the movie, it will sell. I don't know exactly who they're selling that to, but it's not an audience.
Here's some of his movies that he did screenplays for. So here's some of his film work. All the President's Men, A Bridge Too Far, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I'm just doing some of the big ones. Chaplin, Marathon Man, of course, Stepford Wives, Misery, and of course, Maverick. And then my understanding is he also did some novels that have become films too. So he wrote these novels. He also wrote the novel Princess Bride. So he did the screenplay based on his own. So that's his story through and through. That's just amazing to me.
He's just a great writer.
Side one. He did a novel called Heat. You ever heard of that novel? Heat?
Yes.
And they did a movie starring Burt Reynolds. So if you're on the Last of the Action Heroes podcast feed and you're a big William Goldman fan, well, check out my review of the movie Heat.
Although William Goldman does hate it because they changed the script on him.
I'm trying to plug my episode here.
Yeah, but no, it's a great episode though.
Thank you. No, I'm just saying we took the mick out of it, of course, because it's the Burt Reynolds film. But I was surprised again when I reviewed that film that Goldman was an author of novels. I didn't know that. And so that was the discovery we made with that. But again, check out that episode called Heat, not the 1995 Heat, but the Burt Reynolds Heat in 85. Well, let's talk about Jodie more. What did you think of her? Very much stepping out of her type of films a little bit. She was, of course, known for Silence of the Lambs. You know, she won an Academy Award for that, Academy Award for The Accused, where she plays a rape victim. So she's done some Taxi Driver. She was, of course, a prostitute, a child prostitute. So she's done some heavy stuff, And so I was very excited to see her, from the trailers. Of course, as a teenager, I could tell this was a comedy, lighthearted film. So I was very excited to see how she would do with more of a smile on her face and a bit of a wink in her eye. What did you think? How did she do?
You could tell it was so easy for her.
Yeah.
It was a day off.
Right.
This is Rita Hayworth.
Right. Good point.
Right? It's basically playing a classic actress as a Southern belle in a Western. And you could tell from the look in her eyes she was enjoying it.
Oh.
And I think she was enjoying Mel. That was pretty obvious.
Do you think they had a time together? Some nookie?
I think that went on for decades though.
I don't know. I know Mel's married. It doesn't matter. And I know she's officially, I think she's in a same-sex marriage or relationship now. Oh, good for them. Bless their hearts. It was obvious. That's why I don't blame either one of them. I don't know what to say. I don't blame either one of them.
There's this running joke on Arnold Schwarzenegger and that his on-screen kisses are awful. You watch them smooch.
Oh, great. Okay, you know what? I will say, yeah. Okay, I didn't even consider they were a couple because not that I don't look for that. Like you're looking.
Okay,
for.
So they had to do that scene 20 times, right? Because
where'd you hear that?
Well, now full disclosure: whenever you shoot a movie like this, you're shooting every scene at least multiple a handful angles? Of times, usually multiple takes,
right?
From different angles to get coverage. They made out for a day.
Okay, so they had that kiss,
and every scene has to look like you're doing it for the first time.
I will say that kiss. I remember, like,
it was enthusiastic, wasn't it?
The kiss that they did, the first kiss they had on screen, where they were like, they were literally, as they say, sucking face. It's like, wow, they were. Yeah, it was a
right.
It was a real. It was. I know that's the characters doing
right
that.
up until that point, because I've seen Mel with other actresses. Who, for example, this season I'm going to cover Bird on a Wire. Now, Mel has a lot of fun with Goldie Hawn.
Sure.
And they have great chemistry, and it's all great. But
there's no way that Goldie stepped out on Kurt, though. I tell you that right now. Yeah.
No. So when you do like a Kurt Russell Western, you have to get me on the show.
Sure, yeah. If you want to, I don't think I have anyone for the. He's got a couple, but the Tombstone one, that's gonna be the flagship episode. So
of course it will. Tombstone is awesome.
Yeah, it's the best. Okay, all right. So, so that kiss, that's a fair point. That's a
because that's basically the sexiest thing they do. Because the rest of the movie is fairly benign.
It is. There's no.
He's not ripping her bodice or anything.
No.
Which is a shame.
It's a fun family film. It's very fun family film. There's only, I was almost tempted. I think I could show this to my 10-year-old, almost 11-year-old son. I think even my 8-year-old kids, twins, would enjoy the film because it's just fun action. Let's talk about the action. That horse carriage sequence.
Mm-hmm.
I love these old time Indiana Jones like stunts. You know what I mean? These old pre-CGI.
Mm-hmm.
It reminded me of those old West stunts. So the camera is panned back far. So you got whatever, they're on a track.
There's no CGI here. This is all real. This is all stunt.
And
these are real horses. This is a real guy.
Yeah. Like the sequence of Mel, of course, Mel and James Garner, Jodie Foster.
And it's a Western trope.
Oh, yeah. The jumping between the horses. Yeah.
No, basically the runaway carriage is a Western trope.
Sure.
So, of course, it's going to be in this movie. And that's the one gripe I have about this movie is that it has a budget of $75 million.
Wow.
Where did the money go?
The actors.
Must be. Because
Mel, Jodie, and James. That's...
Yeah, because Mel doesn't need the money as an actor because he was a producer on this film. This is one of his first productions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is Icon. Together with Donner Schuler, part of that great relationship he had with Donner throughout his career.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is like they do 5 movies together, and they're all a big success.
Oh yeah, they made money together for sure.
Yeah, which is interesting because where they stand philosophically, Donner and Gibson would not get along, and they would be opposites. But that's just not true. Donner loves Mel like a son. You can tell every time he talks about him in an interview. It's like the great Mel. And he knew it from the first minute he worked with him. I mean, last season I talked about Lethal Weapon, and there's like there's the famous suicide scene that Donner knew he could get out of Mel, but Mel didn't want to do it. And Mel was scared of the scene. He was like, I don't think I can pull it off. So Donner just kept it in reserve. They just kept that trailer. Finally, Mel was ready, and they just shot it in an afternoon. And it's just arguably, the best acting Mel has ever done on screen. That scene is so intense and so real that it sets up the entire franchise.
Well said. Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
No, I think you've mentioned that before. I think, which is fine. I think you mentioned.
Oh, you probably listened to the episode and heard Craig talk about it because
that might have been him or you, but I remember you guys speaking to that. Yeah.
Yes.
So Mel Gibson's 38 in this film. Jodie's 32. And of note, Mel now is the same age that James Garner was in this film.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I was thinking that was the perfect time to do Maverick too.
I guess
Maverick's the older con artist with his son that maybe he had with Jodie Foster's character. Something like that would be kind of a fun reinvestment.
It's such an irony because they tried to bypass James Garner for the part. Paul Newman they hoped to get him for the part, but Paul Newman just wasn't interested. He was like, no, I don't want it. Jim Garner originally played Brett.
Yes, of course. Yes.
And so now he's, as we found out at the end of the movie, he's Brett's
Spoiler
father.
alert. No,
Spoiler alert. He's Brett's father. But that's another gripe I have with the movie.
Did you know that? I know you're a smart moviegoer. So did you catch any connection that these two had before?
No.
Good.
It made no sense.
Okay, before you get to that part, it's still, so the reveal now you talk about how, I mean, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on it, because I
Mm-hmm.
too, when I first saw this in the theaters, I was like, I admit I was 19. I'm a pretty easygoing film goer. Like I'm an easy please, meaning like I'm not saying you're not, but I didn't find any like the loopholes or whatever. But watching the film again yesterday for the first time in a while, knowing that character that James Garner plays, a Coop, he was their biological father and son.
Yes.
It was actually, it almost screamed obvious. But
Mm-hmm.
that's what I liked about it. So this speaks to how well they filmed this. That repeat viewings doesn't take away from the fun. It actually adds, ironically, the repeat viewing adds fun to their characters, because when you watch them knowing that both characters know who they are to each other,
Mm-hmm.
it's a combination of what they're saying to each other. Is it part of the script that they have talked about before they're hoodwinking the other people that they're hoodwinking?
Yeah, this is all
or
a
is
big
that
con. This is a
yeah,
big poker play.
but you get what I'm saying? Because there's like
Yes.
sequences where, Maverick falls over the cliff and he's
Mm-hmm.
really about to fall.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, is the dad really going to let him fall? Like
Mm-hmm.
you could tell that his dad loves his son. He would never shoot him, of course. He would never, but there's just a lot of different like sequences where like, okay, they didn't script the stage mishap,
What
but
kind of said it, what kind of hinted it to me
okay,
was the loyalty he has for Zane's character. That doesn't make sense in terms of, well, he did save my life. No, he didn't.
right.
When did he do that? No, he did not. That's not true. That's when I kind of figured out, okay, so they have kind of something going here.
Okay.
There's something
It's,
going
yeah.
on.
And so knowing that they were, of course, father and son watching and I've seen it many times, I just haven't seen it in a while, but I really took notice of how the characters were interacting. And I thought about, boy, they're playing a very fine line. Cause I was thinking of you. I was actually thinking of you. I was like multiple times. You're in my head, Seiko. I was thinking of you. I was thinking of you when I was just thinking, I wonder if Seiko's going to catch, because there's some knowing glances, there's some knowing looks, and there's the camera holds a little bit like, why are we holding the camera there? And you're right, there's some sort of like banter and connection that the two supposed strangers seem to have right away. And when you watch it for the first time, you might just chalk it up as to, well, they're movie characters in a fun film. They just connect right away. They almost have a seemingly like, why are they talking this way history? But now when I'm watching, like, oh, I can see why they're kind of like, they're like, why do they seem like they have this antagonistic history with each other? Oh, they do, because they're father and son. They have this competition, and this, all the fun reveals. They both kissed Jodie Foster's character, but we don't see the James. Well, okay, sorry, I'm trying to make this a little PG.
She had sex with both of them.
Okay, she had coitus with both,
but the point, I don't understand when.
That's what I like about it, though. What I'm getting at is that reveal.
When did she have sex with him? Because she met him on the boat. They were on the ferry together. That's where they met.
Oh no! Remember, they were separated. There was a time that Mel's character went with the Native Americans.
That's when she banged the sheriff.
Yes, sure. See, what I like about that, though, is that everyone is just hoodwinking everybody. She's sleeping with both. They don't know. They think the other person's the only one sleeping with her. It's just a constant. Everyone doesn't know what the hell's going on, but everything's pulled off perfectly at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's interesting, because they really play a poker game with the audience. Because you're led to believe that the main villain, who you are introduced to in the first few scenes, that's going to be the main villain for the entire movie. But it isn't. You have a movie in a movie, because it's a flashback for the first hour and 15 minutes, where the plot line that Mel is going to be hung by his enemies is resolved. And then they go straight into the poker game. And when you first view this movie, you think, well, he wins the poker game. That's the main motivation for Mel's character, for Brett. That's the end of the movie. But it isn't. Because finally it's revealed the main motivation he has is he wants to prove he's the greatest poker player of all time. He's proving that to himself or something.
He's got that he has the magic.
And that he has the magic, that he can will a card into existence or something. And that's they actually deleted a scene with Linda Hunt, and I'm kind of sorry about that, because I always enjoy Linda Hunt in movies.
She's a great actress, but I think they actually made the right choice. They said it didn't fit. It didn't fit the aesthetics of the movie, and I can see that, because it would have been that magical little moment.
Yeah, he says it to himself in the mirror now. That's basically it's an inner monologue thing.
Right.
That's another gripe I have at the movie. I don't like voiceovers. I don't like inner monologues. I don't think that works.
Right.
And they kind of shoehorn that into this movie. It's like,
yeah,
okay,
it's
we
not
need to
much.
explain the motivations for Brett here. Let's have him talk about it.
Yeah, it is weird because it doesn't add too much. Like if they showed him just hanging in the tree, they didn't have to say, yeah, dude's hanging in a tree. Now we're going to find out how he got there. You don't have to say anything. Yeah, it was kind of, maybe that's just a William Goldman thing because there's a Princess Bride narration going on in his story. So maybe, yeah.
Because if this was a Sergio Leone movie,
right,
it would be done differently. Let's put it that way.
Well, yeah, but
it would be done like he did it in Once Upon a Time in the West, where the entire movie you wonder, what is the main motivation for Harmonica? What is the main motivation for the character we are following throughout this movie? And in the end, it's revealed that the guy...
Spoiler alert.
What, for Once Upon a Time in the West? We're not talking about the movie. I can spoil it all you want.
No, but I mean, people are going to follow me on my Western podcast. You know, True. That's one of the ones we're going to cover. So,
yes,
whatever.
And then when we talk about a Western movie 50 years old.
Oh, here we go. Well, I know, but people still go back and watch these things. So, yeah, you're right, but just yeah. Don't want to spoil it too much because a lot of these films do have some great, like, the good, bad, and the ugly. Everyone thinks they've seen it, but when you watch it, there's some twists and turns in that film that are incredible that people maybe forgotten too. Yeah. Okay. You brought up Randy Newman. What a fun soundtrack. Did you catch his cameo?
Tremendous musician.
He is. Did you catch his cameo? It's
did.
Very subtle. Okay.
There are a lot of cameos in this. I mean, there are like so many cameos. It's insane.
Right. Yeah.
Including a really on the nose one that I hate, which is the one with Danny Glover. It doesn't work for me.
Okay, that's
where they stare in each other's face like, hey, do I know you from somewhere?
Yeah.
And then he pulls like his thing down, and when he comes out, he says, I'm too old for this shit. That was just
it's too on the nose. Too on the nose. What they should have done was they should have maybe kept that line. That would have been fair. You know, like what might have been a better version of that is that whole robbery takes place. His face is covered the whole time. He leaves as he does, and then when he gets out of the bank, pulls down his masks. No, but that would have been better. Then he just says that, because then that's like, oh, it's Danny Glover, and he says that, and then he runs off. But they linger too long on the joke. That's the problem. So when why would Mel, who's getting robbed, his Maverick, why would he pull down the guy's mask just to see what he looks like? Why? Because it's a black bank robber, maybe? He's like, what? I don't know. So then he sees him, and they both, of course, that's the reveal to the audience. Okay, it's Danny Glover and Mel. They've done a few, Lethal Weapons together. Haha, it's fun. I'm sure it got 1994 chuckled. I'm sure I chuckled when I saw it in the theaters. And then, but you're right, when they look at each other, double take. It's like, we get it. You don't have to do anymore. We know they're in the film together.
On the other hand, the original TV show would have guest stars. Those would usually be famous people on the TV show.
Okay, well, if they're okay, there you go.
The idea of putting cameos of people you recognize from someplace else into this movie kind of echoes with the TV show. So I'm
give it a bit more of a pass.
I mean, the first thing you would think of when, here's a famous director putting people he's worked with in the past into his movies, like, he has a big budget, so he's getting all his friends paid, right? Because he worked with Corey Feldman, so of course Corey Feldman's going to be in his movie and get paid, and etc. So, well, that's one argument you could make, but I think it sort of fits the theme of trying to recapture the magic of the original TV show, where every week you would have Brett in a new situation with a star you would recognize from somewhere else. Okay, because everybody who was everybody from 1957 to 1962 was on that show.
Right. Okay. So that makes sort of sense there. Let's talk about one more cameo that was obvious. Did you catch it? And this Richard Donner connection?
You tell me.
Margaret Mary was played by Margot Kidder, who played, of course, Lois Lane in Richard Donner's Superman.
And Superman. Didn't catch it.
There you go. Yeah,
After we watched that one.
Yeah, I mean, she was, she had her bonnet on. She was all disheveled from being attacked by the fake Native Americans who were cavalrymen.
The church people.
That's right. That was Margot Kidder, who played Lois Lane. Yeah, that was a good cameo. And then there was the other cameo was, I had to go back to see it, was Reba McEntire was an extra at the opening.
Reba McEntire, I did catch. Yes.
Okay. Yes. I missed that. Yeah.
Reba was big in those days.
Oh, yeah. She's a very lovely woman herself.
This was right before she got her sitcom, I think.
Right. Reba.
Yeah. Because the first time I ever saw Reba was when she did the anthem at WrestleMania.
Oh, really?
Who's Your Dome?
Okay.
I think that was WrestleMania 8.
Speaking of WrestleMania, Jerry Lawler, if you were watching the Raw broadcast at the time, he spoiled the ending on the Raw at the time.
Yeah.
What an idiot.
Oh, well, Jerry. What can you say?
Well, I didn't watch wrestling back then, so I wasn't.
He's the king.
It. And I also saw it opening night anyway, so this is pre-internet. So that was the beauty of going to the movies back in the day too, is that there's no internet spoilers, nothing. So you could go to the movies. If you caught the open night, you were like, I saw it opening night. I know the whole movie. And I was really big on that back then. I would always see things opening night so I could get the lowdown of the films before I heard anything on the street.
Yes, that's important to you, isn't it? If I'm going to invest my time into a movie,
right.
I want to know it's good before I actually watch. No. So I don't even watch trailers. Be spoiled.
I don't
That's
watch
why I'm
trailers.
going to listen to all your Tulsa King podcasts, because I am going to listen to every episode before I watch that show, because I want to know. Well,
you actually get to watch. Are you watching my Patreon feed? Are you watching the Patreon episode?
Of course I am. I'm your Patreon.
Oh, well,
I'm one of your supporters.
Well, I don't know if you're watching I don't know who watches it.
Well, not every time, but
Okay. But yeah, so yeah. Just a quick little plug there. I do a watch review watch along. So if you actually go on my Patreon, you get to watch Tulsa King for free, essentially. Yeah, if that makes sense, because
that's great.
Because
I can't watch Tulsa King, by the way.
Oh,
it's on Paramount Plus. Paramount Plus doesn't.
I don't know if it's not world. Oh, it doesn't. Okay.
Nope.
Okay, well, come join the Patreon if those who are European or what have you, because you get to watch the whole. I show the whole show for free, and it's a watch along review, and it's a very quick review.
You're going to be a big part of the Mel Gibson Patreon anyway, because at some point I'm going to start a Patreon. I'm thinking about a Patreon page where I will give bonus footage and bonus episodes. And one of the big ones is I'm thinking about working very hard on putting a special episode together on the first show we did together, which was Mad Max. So I want to augment that by making a video version of it with some added footage. So that should be a lot of fun.
Okay.
And I'm thinking about doing a specific Patreon season. So there's going to be a bonus season this year. Of course, you're going to get the regular season. Like every February of every year, you're going to get the start of the Mel Gibson season. But I'm thinking about a small bonus season this year, particularly for Patreon listeners. I'll reveal more about that when the time comes. Yeah.
All right. Well, look forward to that.
So back to the boat. The boat, I have a problem with. It's a tugboat.
Okay.
It's not a real boat. It's not a real classic.
I thought it was a real. Was it not a real boat they used? Or
yeah, they used a real boat, but it's a tugboat. Mocked it up to look like a riverboat.
Well, isn't that a good thing to do? To kind of.
I prefer they use a real one. I mean, there are real ones. I've been on a real one.
Probably insurance or costs, I would assume.
I have no idea what they were doing, but they were shooting anywhere but on the Mississippi. How does that work? I don't get it. One of the things is
probably taxes, or the Mississippi might have filming laws. I bet you the Mississippi is like a protected piece of water. I don't know.
I guess they had to stop shooting because the fake smoke that would come out of the chimney got reported. They had to get like permits and stuff because
was there Karens back then? Even Karens back then?
Oh, there's always been Karens.
That's true. Well, speaking of the Mississippi scenery, like, weren't those shots in the film just some gorgeous scenery? Just like, I wanted to be there. Like, there was one mention of Maverick's character to Graham Greene's character, who played, of course, the Native American leader. He's like, boy, you guys, you sure ought to pick a spot. It's true. You look the mountains, the lakes, and it's just
it's not particularly well shot. In terms of, I'm spoiled. I'm really, really spoiled because I love the Sergio Leone movies, and he's just a better filmmaker. I'm sorry, he is. And it's the same with the Tarantino westerns.
Well, it's Richard Donner, sure.
Yeah, and the Tarantino westerns also look better than this one.
They probably,
I'm spoiled, and I look at it like through that lens. And
better cinematographers there. Sure.
It's just better.
Yeah, well, that's fair. But I'm just looking at this, what we're seeing, the beauty of the scenery. And that's one of the reasons why I love Westerns. I think it's, again, that aesthetic. I guess this is a part of my soul. Maybe I used to live a past life where I was at peace with the rolling land and the green rolling hills and the horses and the campfires. And
it does have that house on the prairie feel, doesn't it?
I love it. I just absolutely love that lifestyle. I always said I would go back in time with that kind of living if I had today's plumbing with that lifestyle.
Yeah, you would be Grizzly Adams. You would have like your own pet bear. And that's one of those things that makes this movie interesting, because this is a Western really outside of Western movie making. Because in the 90s, there weren't a lot of Westerns. Well, there's a kind of little bit of a Western revival.
Yeah, Young Guns 1 and 2, Dance with Wolves. It kind of, there was, I would say late, like 89 to 94, like right at the end of this, there was a bit of a peak because he had Unforgiven. I think there was a mini resurgence. You're right. But then it did die between like 95 and almost to the Quentin Tarantino films again.
Yeah, you had 3:10 to Yuma, which I enjoyed.
Oh boy. Now you're getting all me excited about my Western pie.
Yeah. And then you, of course, have the classic Kurt Russell, which was, what's it called? Bones and Tomahawks? What was it called?
Bone Tomahawk.
Bone Tomahawk. I love that movie.
It's a great film. That is such an underrated, that film is not being talked about. People go see, but just be wary. There's a scene that you'll never erase from your memory. That's all I'm going to say. I did not see that.
That's made the movie good. It's like a horror movie. It's great.
Yeah. And I love horror, so it was a good combination there too.
It's a great combination.
Yeah. All right. So we talked about we talked about the director, the cinematographer, the writer, the actors. And I love the Commodore at the end. They're played by James Coburn. Good old James Coburn. I love that deep, gravelly voice that he has.
Yeah. Great.
I just love that voice.
And he got a nice, fat, juicy part. He ended up as the bad guy. It's great.
Yeah, and it's just a great sequence. Yeah, you get two old men fighting, James Garner and James Coburn showdown. James versus James at the end there was
James versus James. And the fun part is that in retrospect, this entire movie is a big con because they are really there to take down the James Coburn character, because they know he's bad. He's a bad guy. They know he's. So this is a big con. This whole tournament they enter is really about taking that guy down, because they know he's up to shenanigans. And Brad's dad is on a mission to take care of this particular bad guy. So Brad is really there to facilitate that. He's really the kind of the almost the MacGuffin.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's really the end reveal. It's like you've been watching a different movie the entire time.
So here's
you thought it was just some guy
who's
getting some money together and playing with a girl to go to a tournament and play some cards. No, it isn't. This is about justice. Justice being served. Because the James Coburn character is the bad guy.
Yeah.
And he's hiring people to take care of Brett, and he's rigging this entire tournament. There's even a card dealer who's cheating.
Yeah, I love those sequences of the cheaters. It's great. Look, there's no bad scene in this film. Every little moment sequence is just fun. There's a reason for it.
Guy they kick off the boat, the guy with the beard.
Right. Okay.
Who says, no, just let me, and
Yeah.
Okay, so he was on the original show.
I was gonna say he looked like someone. The way
legacy
they made
character.
Yeah, it looked like a legacy type character. It's like I didn't know. Okay, that makes sense. If he was on the original,
and he's also in the Richard Pryor movie.
Oh, he's the one.
So he's kind of my glue, because he's in a lot of movies.
You know who he looked like? I thought he was Uncle Jesse from Dukes of Hazzard.
Yes, he is.
Is that him?
That's him.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That was it. Okay. I was gonna say he just looked a little bit, older.
No, it's Uncle Jesse. It is.
Okay, it is Uncle Jesse.
He's our Uncle Jesse. He grew up with this guy.
Yeah. Oh, I grew up with Daisy Dukes for sure. I mean, yes, Uncle
Didn't
Jesse.
We?
Yeah. Oh boy.
Of course, you grew up with Daisy Dukes.
There were two iconic movie characters that told me I was a straight boy. Wonder Woman and Daisy Dukes. Daisy. Those two characters on screen, like, oh yeah, I like girls. Young age, I realized that.
Oh, for me, that was Charlie's Angels.
Sure, fair.
When I was a kid and I saw Charlie's Angels, I knew whatever happens, I'm going to get a Charlie's Angel.
And they're beautiful. Yeah, you do. You're a beautiful woman. You have a beautiful wife. I did too. I got a beautiful wife too. I'm very fortunate.
It's all about the hair, really. So when we started dating 20 years ago, I just told her, it's like, look, I'm going to tell you right now, The minute you cut your hair, it's over.
Yeah, the hair on the head.
That's divorce, honey. You cut your hair, it's over. She hasn't cut it yet, so.
Yeah, so it's a Samson Delilah for sure.
Yeah, but most women cut their hair.
I know.
Basically to get less attention from other men.
Yeah, well,
they cut their hair because they're basically saying, well, I'm with this guy now. He's a sure thing. He's going to take care of me now. So I don't have to be attractive for anyone anymore. So I'm just going to cut my hair. So I just explained, no, honey, I need to be jealous. You need to have nice, pretty long hair.
There you go. We make the men jealous.
Exactly.
Okay. I was going to say one last thing. Oh, yeah. Here's spoiler alert. And I know we're nearing the end here. Spoiler alert. What I love about this film, too, is Jodie Foster's character.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the whole film is that damsel in distress. Oh, woe is me. Oh,
yeah, she's a crook.
And she gets the biggest hoodwink of them all. She, quote unquote, the last scene, she wins at the end, so to speak. She grabs the money at the end. Like, what I love is, but that's what I love about her is that she, even back in '94, the girl, so to speak, won the damsel in distress. If she didn't, she didn't get all the money. She got a good portion of it. She got her half that she wanted.
They rewarded her for her help.
Her, yeah. But so that's again. So there you go again. Is she being?
It was benevolence. They knew what she was up to, and they knew she was going to do that. So they were like,
exactly. So that's my question: did they know that she was going to come? That she knew that they were going to have the money ready? That's why you had the money hidden in his boot, and it's all this.
It was all anticipation.
Yeah, okay. So that's what I love about this
players. Film. This was
it's a combination of everyone is this one step ahead, one step behind, and on the same page at the same time. It's just insane how they do that.
And that's what this movie succeeds in doing. It also manages your expectations. And that's what I enjoy about it. This
is for Katie, by the way. This is for Katie.
It does?
If she hasn't seen this film yet, and I know she loves a good body on a man, Mel Gibson's in peak form here.
Oh, no, she hates Mel Gibson.
Oh, does she?
Yeah, he's too hairy.
Not in this film, he wasn't.
No, not in this one. I think he had a nice Brazilian wax going, so she might sort of enjoy it now.
I think I'm
2 episodes I've done with Katie. We've discussed this. It's like, okay, so does he deserve this 3 times sexiest man on earth? And she's like, meh, nah.
No, I'm sorry. I think it's well deserved. I think
Katie would not ride this cowboy.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think he looks fantastic. This is peak. I mean, he's 38. He looks great, almost 39. He just looks fantastic. Yeah, I love it. And I know they had to do a couple shirtless scenes for that reason. I guess he was working out or something, but they had to showcase his build, which is fair. I get it. So it fit the story, but there's a couple times he kind of had to keep disrobing. But
one thing irked me big time.
Sure.
Okay, so they have this shirt gag, right?
Yeah, I know where you're gonna go with this. Let me guess, the film continuity of the shirt grew. Yeah, I know.
They just did that thing for the gag.
And it was funny, but when he puts the shirt...
I agree, it's funny, but then it's not a problem for the rest of the movie.
But it's a callback. I love how the idea.
But this is a shirt from Paris, and he cannot get that out there in the sticks.
I know.
He cannot get a decent shirt anywhere, so it should have bothered him the rest of the movie. And then it would have been a callback every scene, but it wasn't. Instead, the next scene, played with more. He has a normal length shirt, and it's like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. He stretched it.
How?
I don't know.
Nonsense. No.
I know. I know.
This is Richard Donner at his worst. Richard Donner does not care about continuity.
No, that's fair. That's a fair continuity flub. But yeah, the shirt is hilarious.
It's one of the reasons I'm sad Stallone and Richard Donner never worked together, because if they had, they would have bonded over the fact that continuity is never an issue whenever you're telling a story.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's funny. I did notice too that the shirt grew, but I love the little callback where he says, when I get my hands chopped off from the Native Americans,
that was great.
My shirt will fit. Just so many great lines like that. What's another?
One of
the funniest sequences. One of the funniest sequences of the whole film is when they go on the stagecoach with the old sickly old man driver.
Yeah,
and Maverick says, "Are you okay, old timer?" Because the guy is like, wheezing.
Why is everybody saying that?
Why does everyone keep asking that? And I love how it's like,
and the next scene he's dead.
He's next scene he's dead. I just like, that was just so good. Such a clever little, like, this was that scene itself was funny, but then he indeed did die during the carriage riding. So it's just a fun. I love when she lost the poker round, the last game, and she goes, well, I'll just pretend it's somebody else's money that I lost. And Maverick's
And
like, yeah, that's pretty easy for you to do.
And but he keeps saying teasing lines like that.
Yeah.
Well, you would know.
Yeah, it's just great. Now, was their coitus real? Was that faked? Did they really like each other? There you go. Or is their love a con?
Explain.
Like, well, they on screen they seem like the characters, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
They kiss and they have, they make love numerous times in 1 hour, and like there's at least a physical attraction that they have fun with each other. But are they just part of the card game too with each other, or is there real feelings? I know it's kind of like, do they really like each other?
Yeah, it's like
he does say at the end, like, Western, the fun of the game,
and this is where the hero comes back next week. And the guest star he was in love with, his love interest, isn't there anymore. So enough. This love interest is still in love. It's
the love of the week. It's the love of the week.
Is left behind, or is, I don't know, is off doing her own thing.
Yeah, but don't forget the end of the episode, or the end of the episode, the end of the movie. He's he insinuates, or he says, like, yeah, she took the money, but that's fine because it's gonna be fun taking it back again. So the chase is on again.
So they're kind of suggesting that this is just going to go on and on.
And on and on. Yeah. And that's going to be the relationship. Con game, lies. It's all harmless. Nobody's getting physically hurt, and they're all in on it together. It's like you said, it's a big game of poker. We're all on this game together. Yes. There's bluffs, there's tells.
And they all enjoy the game.
Yes, and then she's like, "You guys gave tells too, and that's how she hoodwinked them about the menage a trois that was going on that they were unaware of." And she goes, "You guys have tells as well that I was able to read." It's just, I know we're kind of gushing, guys, but it's actually
no. This is a good movie, and it's enjoyable, and it's a fun watch. If you're gonna watch a Mel Gibson movie, this is one you shouldn't miss. So, in retrospect, I am remiss for watching this back in '94. My head was not in the game.
Sure.
But
maybe it's better thanks
to you. So
maybe it's better that you haven't seen it until now. You're ready for it.
I'm more able to appreciate it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I was a little bit nervous because
you're nervous. Well, why are you nervous?
For if you were to enjoy it, because it's something that I like, and it was endearing to me as a teenager, or I say teenager, but almost a young adult, but many moons ago. And it's something it's a movie that I've held in high regard as a fun memory, and because these are both actors I truly like. I have followed both actors' careers my whole for decades. I'm a huge Mel fan, always will be, and same with Jodie. And so seeing them together on screen is just for me as a fan, I guess I'm still kind of old school Hollywood, that I have actors and actresses that I truly followed their career. A lot of moviegoers
celebrate that they're on screen together.
Yeah,
it's like a big moment in your life.
It's like a super group. Like your two favorite guitarists are playing in a band together. So this is how I felt.
Like when we finally got Expendables and we had all hard 80s action heroes in one movie. 20 years too late, but we did get them.
We got it at least, and it was fun. Yeah. So at least we got Mel and Jodie in their, I would say not their prime, but a bit of their prime, both the star power and in looks, and it's on screen forever, and I'm going to enjoy this for years to come. This will not be my last viewing of Maverick, that's for sure.
I'm going to have to agree with that one. I'll probably see it again just to enjoy the subterfuge.
Yeah, enjoy watching the Maverick Senior. Watch their. You're almost gonna be like, how did I not see that? It's almost so obvious when you watch it the second time that you almost wonder how you missed their connection. Because there's one scene where Mel says, "My pappy always says," and it cuts to James right away, and he rolls his eyes.
You're right.
Like, why would the character roll his eyes? They just met.
Why does he keep bringing up his pappy all the time?
Because he's egging his dad right in front of him. Yeah. And I love the side joke. The other side joke, of course, is silly, but it works the whole film. Is he's called Brett and Bert throughout the film.
Yeah.
I love that. Even people that are side characters were calling him Bert. And I just love the idea that he was called Bert and Brett. And to the point where it's like, what is his name? I forget now. Is it Brett? Is it Bert? Like, I almost forgot because he stopped correcting people. So I almost forgot as a viewer. What is his name? Yeah, it's just fun stuff. Yeah. I don't know. Movie. Watch it, guys. We haven't spoiled anything. Trust me. You just got to watch it. See the romanticism of both as a Western comedy.
If anything, we've highlighted the things you will enjoy the most.
Yeah.
You have a ton of podcasts to do. What are you currently doing?
Well, I'm just the ones on the network are, well, I guess officially 4, but it's the Rocky Series podcast called One More Round. We're on Rocky 2 now. I think we're going to catch up to Doug eventually. We're on Rocky 2 right now.
It's inevitable.
Yeah. So probably the time this is released, we're going to be about a third of the way through Rocky 2 at least. I'm covering Rambo. Probably when this gets released, we'll definitely be on Rambo 3, season 3. And because we're almost done part 2, season 2. And I also do, of course, Last of the Action Heroes podcast show. That's just where we grab movies that aren't of the big Mount Rushmore, the Bruce Willis's and Van Damme's, So Red Dawn's a perfect example where it's Patrick Swayze, right? He's not part of that Mount Rushmore, so to speak. So we're going to do Red Dawn. We've done other films that are kind of fun and silly, like, Burt Reynolds' Heat. I love delving into these lesser known films. They have been, I'll tell you right now, the Last of the Action Heroes shows have been some of the funnest shows I've recorded. I absolutely love doing those standalone movies.
Me and too. I love doing Southern Comfort with you. It's great.
Yeah, because I get to watch films that I haven't seen before. That's kind of part of what it is. I've seen Red Dawn before, of course, but what I like about that is I'm watching a lot of films I've never seen.
I had the same trepidation about Southern Comfort because I know you hadn't seen the movie. I had the same trepidation about whether you would like it as probably you had with me watching Maverick.
You always want people to enjoy what you enjoy. Yeah, so I love it. I love Vietnam films, and I'm just, again, surprised I'd never heard of it or seen it. That was a pleasant surprise. And then lastly, I do what's called the Sylvester Stallone Podcast Network show, and that's where we do films with Craig and Doug. Speaking of Craig and Doug,
what do you have left though?
Not much. The next episode we're doing, it's actually going to be a poll. So again, when this comes out, it might already be out, but it's going to be between, I think it was Rhinestone and Paradise Alley is the
I
poll.
vote for Paradise Alley. It's brilliant.
It's a film I haven't seen.
No, but it's his best stuff.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, but I just haven't seen
the other script that is really good, because the trouble with Rocky is that it's his best script and he never wrote anything remotely that good again, except for Paradise Alley. And
which I've heard from
the one script he never publicized, which is the one about Edgar Allan Poe that has just gone into oblivion. But Paradise Alley
one day,
is really good, and it's really different from Rocky. And I think that's the strength of that script. It's Stallone is the Cosmo character, and I think it's his most autobiographical character of anything he's written.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it for real. John Rivoli, who I had on one of my podcasts, he actually mentioned, because he's friends with Sly, they talk quite a bit. Sly told him it's his most personal and the one he's the most proud of.
It is, and if you look at the cast, this was Stallone's really first, is kind of his directorial debut.
Yeah,
this is probably his most personal movie. I think if it would have succeeded, we would have gotten a different Stallone in the 80s. And people celebrate the 80s Stallone, but now that I'm a little older and I look at what he was supposed to be coming out of the 70s and what he became, I realize why so many movie critics were so disappointed.
Sure, that's fair. That's why I say Tulsa King. I think Tulsa King is an embodiment of where he would have ended up earlier.
I hope it's his redemption. I hope he finally gets to end his career on a positive note.
I think it is. I think you should watch my reaction, because you get to watch the show with me on my Patreon, because you get to watch the whole show. It's all unedited. The whole show's there. So you get to watch along with Ryan. You can maybe zoom me out. I don't know what you want, but I shared the show for free. I don't know. Is that illegal? I don't care. Join my Patreon. You get to watch the whole show with me, and I offer my comments on that on my Patreon. So
it's worth the buck.
Yeah, $1.
Definitely.
All right.
Ryan, again, thanks so much for coming on the show for the second season.
You're welcome.
And we'll see what kind of movie you will enjoy for the third one.
Yeah, I can't wait. I love Mel.
All right.